a show of hands, how many people in our studio audience actually pay taxes? Not ever. I see a couple people whose hands are not up. I am sure they are 16 or less or whatever. And how many of you know actually how that money is being spent? In great detail. Okay. Many people don't realize just how invested in the federal government they are as individuals. So we've invited graphic designer Jess Bachman, who has created a fantastic visual guide that shows just where your tax dollars go. Welcome to our show. It's really nice to have you here. Now, you're a graphic artist by training,
That's right.
But yet you have poured over, how many pages actually in the 2009 budget?
There's over 1,000 pages.
1,000 pages of budgetary information, numbers.
Jargon. It's confusing.
And you have distilled it to this beautifully designed chart over here. It's called Death and Taxes, a visual guide to where your federal tax dollars go. And boy, is it fun to study this. Not only fun, but extremely informative and interesting. So let's take a closer look at these expenses. Where do most of the expenses go? I mean, the greatest proportion. I bet everybody in the audience does. Do you think it goes for education, health, or defense? Defense. And so
right.
They're pretty smart. They know that. I mean, everybody's reading the newspapers. But do you have any idea how much money is being spent on defense? What was budgeted for defense in 2009?
Well, the Department of Defense, which is about a third of this poster right here, is $515 billion. That's up about 7% from 2008. But in addition to that, you have to add another $189 billion for the global war on terror. This is money that we're spending over there, to fund the war in Iraq.
How much?
$189 billion.
Billion, just
extra.
for the war on terror. On top of the war on terror.
Yes,
which is
that's right.
basically what it is.
Right. It's
right?
extra money that the administration needs.
Right. And then...
even small things in there, like even Hummers. We're spending over $2 billion on Hummers for over 10,000 Hummers. And, at the cost of a new Ferrari each, that's a lot of money being spent over there.
Would you rather have Ferraris? I'm just kidding. I wouldn't.
I don't drive that fast.
No, but these are gas-guzzling, gigantic vehicles, which are safer for our troops, and I want our troops to be safe as long as they're there. But, boy, do we spend money.
We sure do.
Yeah. So what are we spending on the Department of Health?
The Department of Health is the next largest department. Its shining star is the National Institutes of Health. They fund cancer, research, diabetes, all the way down to drug abuse and stuff like that. Unfortunately, there's no new money going into these programs for next year.
None at all. 9% more for defense.
Right.
But no more percent.
They have to make do with the same budget they have.
Which is how much?
For the National Institutes, it's $29 billion. Still a lot of money, but not an increase.
But the war is costing us how much a year?
$189 billion.
And the cure for all these life-threatening and horrible diseases is only 29.
Right.
So it's basically, 4 times more being spent on a war.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. And in fact, the Department of Health is taking a 2% cut for 2009.
Oh, really?
Although there is one program in the Department of Health that has is going way up. It is the Public Health Emergency Fund. And this will come into effect if there's a bioterrorist attack or major disease outbreak.
What are we spending on education?
Education. Another large department. People think, Department of Education pays for their local schools. That's actually local taxes and stuff like that. But what the Department of Education does is picks up the tab for extra stuff like for children with disabilities, stuff that states and towns can't really pay for, as well as...
so it's local municipalities are really responsible for the local schools up till college.
Right. For kids with disabilities and, learning handicaps and stuff like that.
Okay. So what's the budget for?
Department of Education is $59 billion.
So it's very small compared to...
It's very small, yes. But there are a lot of things that do get drastic cuts in there, like safe and drug-free schools down 59%. Huge cuts.
For safe and drug-free schools?
We have to ask why is that the case.
Right.
And, there's a program called the National Security Languages Initiative, which is making huge gains. And this will teach the children as young as kindergarten the language of our adversaries, like Chinese and Russian and stuff like that. So when it's defense-related, we'll jack up the budget.
Okay, but not English.
No, not English. Thankfully.
Spelling. How about spelling?
Oh, well, yeah, that's in there, too.
And now, Department of the Treasury. Let's go through this.
Department of the Treasury.
How high is our national debt right now?
Well, we'll get to that in a second, but the Treasury Department is large. We're spending a lot of money on enforcement, $5 billion to make sure they get their money. So they mean business.
Yes, if you're being audited, they're spending probably more money on your audits than they are actually getting in returns. But that's because they want to make sure that you're paying your taxes correctly.
We have things to pay
I understand what the audits are,
right.
and but it's something. And our overall budget, how many dollars in the overall budget of the United States of America?
The overall budget is it's about $3 trillion. But what's really interesting is the national debt. It is huge. It won't even fit on most calculators. It's the circle right here that's kind of behind the graph. It comes up, peaks below and below.
And what's the total?
$11 trillion. Or actually, it's $10 trillion.
$10 trillion is our national debt. And at one point, we had no debt.
At one point, yes, and it's grown recently. And to put a number like $10 trillion in perspective, that's like every child born today has a piece of that attached to them, about $35,000 in federal debt.
So we're all responsible, and we all have to pay for it.
Or our kids.
And where's the money going? Well, what can we do if we don't like how our tax dollars are being spent?
Right. This is not set in stone. Congress, debates it. They listen to experts. They listen to lobbyists, and they listen to people who vote in their districts.
Right.
So what we can do is write our congressmen or call them and tell them, we want safe and drug-free schools. We want, public broadcasting funding restored. And we pay these people $200,000 to work for us. So, let's make them earn it.
Okay. Well, a graphic artist turned into an amazing expert on our tax dollars. If you want to purchase this very impressive poster, go to marthastewart.com/Martha. When ordering, use promotional code Martha to buy one and you get one free. Jess, thank you very much. Really interesting. We'll be right back.